I was trying to stick to what my standards were and what I wanted, but also make him happy.
All of this love is toxic. All these kisses and hugs and not shit. You a damn drug, you toxic.
He had told me his ex told him that, well, his supposedly ex had told him that, oh, I know I don't have a chance now, once she found out that I was gonna co-sign for him for the apartment. And at the time he was telling me that, like I said, it was always one part of me like, okay, so why are you still talking to her, period? But then the other side of me was like, but at least I'm better than her. And at least I'm making him happy, and at least, he's pleased with me. That was the other side of it. So it's just like, but yes, I had agreed to co-sign for his apartment, even though I wouldn't be living there because I didn't want to. Because, one, I knew my mom would trip. Two, I really didn't want to because I seen how it could be. My older sister had lived with an ex of hers, and they fought all the time. It was terrible. It was bad. And if that's what it's like, I don't want no nigga living with me. And so I was like, I'd never shack up. I told myself I'd never do that. I'm never doing it with someone. I don't want to do that. So I was trying to stick to what my standards were and what I wanted, but also make him happy. And so I agreed to it. I said, we'd go try. So one morning, before we went to work, I came over his house a little bit earlier. We had to be at work at 3 in the afternoon. So I came over there 12 or 1. And I remember I came in, it was daytime. Well, I guess it wasn't a big deal for me to be in his house in the daytime. His grandma, I think she was there. She wasn't tripping. I was just in the front. I remember he made some food. I seen his mom for the first time. Was it the first time I met her? I don't remember, but I seen her, and she liked me a lot. His mom was a really nice lady. And I remember he was just making some food to, for before we go out and stuff. And I remember seeing a dynamic between John, my ex, and between his mom. He was very spoiled. And it was like we were in the kitchen waiting on him while he was off just doing nothing. I'm new to this, in this house, don't really know anybody, anything. I felt so uncomfortable, but I'm just trying to do things that I thought that I was supposed to be doing as a girlfriend. And so I'm in the kitchen with his mom, making some burgers and some food. We did that, then next thing you know, we left to go to the apartments. The whole time we're on the way there, I'm just like, this is not a good idea. I don't want to do this. But I didn't say anything. I'm just like, yeah. And then he told me that whole thing. Oh, yeah, my ex knows she don't got a chance for me now. She said, I know I don't got a chance now. She about to co-sign for you. And I'm just like, so we get there. We get there to the apartment complex, right? We get there to the apartment complex, and we pull up, and I'm like, I should back out. I should say, but no, I don't think I guess I was afraid to back out. So we go in there, and I'm sitting there in front of the lady. She's like, oh, y'all want to live in here and stuff? Yeah. And I'm just like, the whole time I'm nervous, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. But I'm going through with it, bit by bit. I think we go look at the apartment. We went and looked at it. It was like, oh, okay, it's nice. And I'm just so uncomfortable the whole time. I was not happy about any of this. I was just trying to grit through it and smile through it, yeah. But I never said I don't want to do this. So she shows the apartment, and we go back to the office. She's like, okay, y'all want to do the application right now? We got they waived the application fee or some da da da. And that's why the whole reason why we went to that particular apartment complex, because he had heard that they would waive the fee for the apartment and all of that. And he, he knows the chance he may not get approved, but he was like, with a co-signer, he probably would. So that's why he needed me. Keep in mind, I only have been dating him for maybe 3 months at this time. That's it. Maybe 3 months. And so, yeah. I'm sitting there signing the paperwork, writing it out. And they asked something about, being a felon or something. And he got nervous at that. And I was like, well, no, I'm not. She's like, oh, okay, just making sure or something. Because they asked that question. He said they would. So he must have already tracked the process and knew he couldn't do it on his own because he's a felon. So, like, yeah, I'm not. And so I'm signing my life away, basically. Signing to be a co-signer on the apartment. All this, da-da-da-da-da. Put my little information on there. And all of that. And he just is happy as hell, smiling the whole time, excited. Acting like he's just so happy with me. Thank you so much, man, Because he just really, I'm so ready to move out of my folks' house. So tired of staring, and then we can be together and not have to worry about, my grandma coming in and saying anything. You can come in the house and da-da-da. He just telling me all the perks of how it would be. And I'm just like, yeah. Gritting through it. Like, yeah, whatever you say, babe. No part of me was happy to do this, but I did it. So, signed the paperwork, left, and we had to wait for a decision. So I'm like, okay. I was praying silently to myself that it would not go through. I was like, please don't go through. Please don't go through. I didn't want to do this, but I just wanted to show him, like, hey, I'm a good person. Hey, I'm a good woman. Hey, you should pick me. I am good. I just wanted so bad to prove that. But I was hoping it wouldn't go through. Hoping and praying, please don't go through. So a few days go by, and I didn't really hear anything from him, but I ended up finding out it did not get approved. It did not go through. God was on my side. They say what they say, God watch out the children and fools. I was the fool. I'm so glad it didn't go through. So it did not work. We did not get approved for whatever reason. And there was like a breath of fresh air, like, and it was off me. So I'm like, hey, I tried and it didn't work. It ain't on me no more. And so he was trying to figure out other ways. So one night I was at his house. It was kind of late in the evening, late night, at his house or whatever. And I hear him in the room with his mom next to his room on the phone. I'm just sitting on the bed trying to kind of listen closely. And he on the phone with, I guess, his brother. His brother was this big time rich guy. I don't know, can't remember what his brother did for a living, but his brother had a decent amount of money. His brother was able to quit his job for like a year or two or something and go live in London without having to work, basically. That's how much money his brother had. I don't remember what his brother did, though. It doesn't matter. His brother had money. And so he was on the phone, I guess, talking to his brother. He was begging his brother for help. What it sounded like. Because I heard him say on the phone, like, nah, I ain't with her no more. I can't go stay with her. We ain't even together no more. Something like that. And I was like, okay, yeah. He talking about some kind of business or something about money or, helping get a place or whatever it was. So I'm just listening and I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I tried. That's all I kept thinking to myself, like, at least he ain't mad at me. Let's see. It's sad, but it's like, I was happy that I actually had gone through with it just so it didn't work. I'm glad. But I'm happy that I went through with it. So just so he can see, like, hey, I'm loving and I tried and I'm here with you. Because how he was going off on his brother, I was like, I didn't want him to go off on me like that. So that's how trauma bonded and deep in this shit I was. So all that ended up passing by. The brother not helping him, which I don't blame the brother. Like, the brother, of course, ended up hanging up. He was mad, pissed about that. And that didn't work. So his sisters end up coming over. He has an older sister. They got a son. His older sister ends up coming over, and he's like, I'm gonna cut their hair and stuff. So I was like, okay, hang out. And, I ain't never really met his sister, so I was hanging out, met his sis and stuff. They was real cool. Met his nephew. He had an older sister and a younger sister, and it was the older sister that came over because, John was a licensed barber, so he would cut his nephew hair. So we just over there kicking it and chilling, and I walked back there to talk to his mom because by this time I had gotten pretty close to his mom. She was cool. I think John sent me back there to get some or do some. So I went back there in her room to ask her for something. And while I was back there, she was like, let me show you the card that John got me. It's a real pretty card. Let me show it to you. And so me being sweet and nice and wanted to tell her, okay. I looked at it. His mom, by the way, was mentally unstable. I don't know what it was or what she had. She had a little mental. She was mentally unstable just a bit. I don't know how to describe it. It wasn't like I don't know how to describe it. She was all there. I don't want to say like, oh, she was childlike almost. That's what I would say. She was childlike almost just a bit. That's one of the things. She's very well aware, very smart, and can have a conversation like a regular normal person and all of that. But some things was childlike. That's why I said when she was like, yeah, let me show you the card. John got me a real pretty card. So I'm like, okay. So I stopped what I was getting to do. I think I was getting something for John to finish doing hair or something. And so she was showing me the card. And I'm reading and looking at it just to, I sat there and actually read through. So I'm picking it up. I'm looking at it like, oh, okay. Still like, oh, that's nice. Trying to, show like, yeah. It was just a basic card. But I was trying to say, it's nice. So I'm looking through it. Flip it open, y'all. I flipped it open. Reading through it. And up in the right-hand corner, written out big as day, it said, from his ex-girlfriend name. I ain't gonna say it. It said, from blank, which was her name written up there. And at the bottom, it had from John as well. So I'm reading it, acting like I don't see that up there, like, oh, yeah. And when she went look, I took the card, closed it back up, and I calmly walked back up to the front where John was at cutting hair, his nephew hair. And I was just like, I opened it up, I was like, what this say? And he just looked at it, frowned, acting like he didn't see it, frowned, looked at it, frowned, cutting his nephew hair like, what you showing me that for? Or something he said. I don't remember what he said, but he didn't answer me. Because, his sister was there and stuff. I didn't want to make a scene. So I was just like, what this say? Just like, look up that. What's that? And he just was like, he couldn't really say nothing. I was like, yep, okay, yep. Took the car. He didn't have much to say. He just said, what you doing with that or something. Oh, okay, what you showing me that for? He said something like along the lines of that. And not what I needed to hear. So I'm like, okay, bet. Calmly folded it up. Went back and set it on her dresser. Got my shit. And I was like, I made her some excuse. I'm about to go home. Or I'm about to go do something. And he was trying to play it cool too. What you leaving for? I was just like, I gotta go because I really wanted to go because I was about to bust out crying. And I did. As soon as I got in the car, I made some excuse to leave. I'm busting out crying. I'm driving home, mad. I'm like, here we go fucking again. Like, here we go again. And I'm just like, I'm just driving home, crying. And I get on home. I'm sitting outside the apartment complex. Then go upstairs to my house. I think my mom was home. I didn't want to see her. I just wanted to get away. I didn't know where I was going. I just got in the car and drove and ended up home. And from his house to mine, it was a good 30 minutes. And so I drove out of home, just crying the whole way, just like this shit again. Like, here I am, was about to co-sign with him, and you still talking to her. You still doing this. Like, I'm just sitting here like I thought we was getting rid of her. I thought she was with me and you. I was all upset, just crying and crying. And so I text my friend. I'm like, you busy right now? I text Evelyn. I think Evelyn didn't answer. I think she was busy. So I text Georgina, my friend, my other friend, and the one that I said don't give a fuck about niggas. Every time I say her name, I gotta say this so y'all can know who I'm talking about. She just don't give a fuck about niggas. That's her. And so, and so I text her. I was like, "Can you talk and stuff?" I didn't know what she was gonna say, but I just needed to talk to somebody. So she's like, "No, bitch." So I texted her. I was like, "I seen so and so name in the card or something like that." And she instantly called me talking. And I'm like, I don't know what to do, and I'm so sick of this. He told me he was done talking to her, and then I see this shit and this and that and that. And I'm just crying going on and on. She's like, I was like, maybe, it was a something. It was a mistake. Or I started trying to make excuses, and she was like, no, Kindall, no. She was like, don't make excuses for him. She was like, him and her went shopping for that damn car together to give to his mom. Like, why the car? I was like, well, why was the car just be sitting there where anybody can see it? She was like, no, stop. They were together. She signed that card and he did too. They were together. Stop saying it. She was telling me, bring me back to reality. I'm just like, oh no, I don't know what I'm doing. I was just boo-hooing. And she kind of calmed me down. She was telling me the truth. But she was telling me in a nice way. And she was like, you gotta stop. You gotta leave him alone. He ain't left that girl alone and this and that. I was like, you're right. And I was calming down and I just was like, I'm talking to you later. And they're hanging up with her. She's still sitting there. Next thing I know, John called or I think he called or texted me. And he was trying to explain. He was like, baby, if you come back and I can talk to you, I can explain it to you. You come back. I'm like, I don't want to come back. I don't want to come back over there. And I was just like, no, man, no. And upset. He was like, you come back and tell you what happened. You ran off so fast, I couldn't even tell you what happened. You just jumped to conclusions, this and that. And I'm just like, and I think I ended up giving in and going back over there. I think I went on back over there. I can't remember. It doesn't really matter. But anyway, let's say I went back over there. And then I'm like, he started explaining it to me. He was like, what happened is I got that car from my mama. And when her ass was here, when her ass was here, she signed it without me knowing. And I was like, well, why is she here? And he's like, well, she was here because she had a flat tire not too far from here. And my sister went and helped her. You see that spare tire in the hallway? Which it was a spare tire in the hallway. I had noticed it. So I'm like, yeah. He was like, yeah, my sister had went and helped her. Her and my sister still cool. You can go in there and ask my sister. And I'm like, no, I'm not asking her that. Because I didn't know his younger sister, not the older one that had the nephew that was getting his hair cut earlier. But his younger sister. I had met her and talked to her a little more than the older one. But I'm still was like, I'm not going in there doing that. I'm like, what I look like? Did you really go help? I didn't want to do that. Maybe I should have to ease my own mind. But I don't know. I was just like, he was like, man, she went back there and signed that car when she seen that I got a car for my mama. She trying to be all nice, act like she got it too and gonna sign her name, and I ain't tell her to do that. She was just here because my sister was helping her with a flat tire. She had a flat tire not too far from here and this and that. And I'm thinking to myself like, wow, she not too far from here. I was so many questions in my head. I'm like, I was just like, okay, yeah, I believed him. I was like, okay, yeah, okay. Because I was just like, okay, the tire was in the hallway. And I'm like, and then I started saying, yeah, the car was just on the dresser. Because he was like, if I was hiding something, you think I'd leave the car sitting right out on the dresser like that when you can easily see it? And I'm like, oh yeah, he could have had a point. I'm thinking to myself, okay. And I'm just like, you got to promise me though that you leaving her alone and all of that. And I remember telling him that and begging him about that. And I don't know what the truth was. Y'all may want to comment and ask me. So was it the truth? I don't know. I don't know. Because when I was first writing this on my Facebook page, this was years ago, when Toxic X Chronicles first dropped, before I had the book, before doing this, I remember I would write, the stories and the tidbits. I do like maybe about this long of a whole post and do it like weekly, every week. And people would read it and click on it and read it and stuff. And it did pretty good. So doing that, I remember in the comments, everybody would ask, so what was it? Did he really tell me something? Was it really the truth? I don't know. Like, that's the thing. Like, how I'm telling this story, I'm telling you from my point of view. Like, a lot of the stuff I don't know the truth or the answer to. Y'all can put it together yourself. And it's crazy because it's like, Some of it could be very well have been the truth, and some of it could not have been. Like, I don't know. And it's crazy to me when I think back on it. Like, I put up with so much shit. But back in story mode, just wanted to say that. But back in the story mode, so I believed him, and I told myself I would. I was like, okay. I don't know if that's because I didn't have a choice, or it was because I just, wanted to stay with him, or it was because, I don't know. Or because he was telling a lie so good that it made sense. I don't know what my reason was, but so I believed him. Okay. That same night, he was like, why don't we go somewhere? It's this place downtown I want to take you to. It's by the river and stuff. And nobody knows about it, basically. So, I had, I guess, forgiven him again. And was like, I'm going to try to believe him. Maybe what he's saying is true. It sounded true. So I was just like, okay. So I felt alright again. And I decided to go ahead and go with him downtown. So he was like, before we go, I need to stop at the store. I need to get me some cigarillos to roll his weed and some stuff. I'm like, okay. And I hear this nigga go, he always gotta smoke before he go do something. Always gotta smoke every time we get together. He always high, always smelling like weed. Always. And I was just like, whatever. And so we roll around to the store. And he was like, we gonna get something to drink too. And so we got some Cokes or some Pepsis or something. He got his cigarillos and stuff. And he was asking me, like, since I'm buying this, what did he say? I think he asked me, you think you can get the alcohol or something? And I was like, I'm broke. I don't got it. Which I really did. And he got a little heated. How you always broke, man? You got that brand new car out here. This brand new car. How you broke and you got a brand new car? And we had this argument so many times. And I was just getting so annoyed. Because I'm like, that's why. And I really wasn't making a lot of money. We worked at the same job. I can't remember how much we were making an hour. But this was back in like 2008, 7, some shit. Early 2000s. I wasn't making a lot. We weren't making a lot. Maybe $10 an hour, $9.50 something little an hour. And I'm like, my car note was $322 back in the day. And I had car insurance plus gas. All of that, my checks was mostly going towards debt. But he would get so mad whenever I was like, I'm broke, I don't got it. And I started thinking, maybe it's because he's been paying for all the dates. But I've always told him we don't have to go out on a date if you tired of paying. I didn't have it. He was always paying for the dates. And I remember once for Father's Day, I couldn't get my dad a car, and I wanted to get him one. He was like, "Well, I'll buy it for you." And so that was like a month or so before this. And I'm like, I thought he was doing little nice things for me because he's just being nice. But come to find out, it seems like he was like doing it because he was expecting me to do for him. But I'm like, don't do it because of that. I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm really broke. I thought she was just really being nice because I'm really broke. But he didn't have a car note and shit, He didn't have shit and really bills to pay but a phone bill. And so I'm like, yeah, a whole argument blew up. Not a whole argument, but it was like, yeah, a debate. Like, I'm sorry I don't got it. Maybe I can, get the drinks. He was like, what about that little gold credit card you had? So, story on the gold credit card was basically, like, a few weeks before this, we had gone to the same corner store to get some snacks and stuff. And I was, like, being nice. And was like, I paid for it. So, I used my little credit card that I just got. It was like a, maybe $300 limit. That's it on a little card. Just a little card just so I can build my credit up. Wasn't much on there at all. Just a little money. So I was paying for it with that. And he was like, he got pissed. He was like, so you holding out on me? You got some money I didn't know about? And that was like always a whole thing. He was always just talking about money with me. Like, you holding out on me, where the money at? And this and that. You always broke. It was always, there was a lot of friction in our relationship over money. Like, half the time. And I always felt so uncomfortable about it. But I thought I was doing a good thing paying for it with the credit card. So it was a whole thing. And I was like, it ain't like it's a platinum card. Ain't that much money on it. It's just this and that. There ain't nothing like that. And like, you holding out on me. He thought I was holding out on him and saying I'm broke, but really lying about it. And I'm just shaking my head, just mad. And I remember something my dad told me back in the day. He was like, it's sometimes okay to pay for a date with a man because, he don't want to feel like he's being used. And so that was never my intention. So I was trying to do what I remember my dad saying, a man would feel used if you just going on all these dates with him and you ain't never offered to pay for none of the dates. Yeah. And so it sounds crazy saying it now. But yeah, so yeah. That's why I had whipped up my little gold credit card to pay for the little stuff by surprising him. But he got all mad at that. But fast forward back to what I was talking about. So, when I told him I was broke, because he had to get his own, and he had to get the alcohol and stuff. He was like, you always broke. What about that gold credit card? That's what he was talking about. And so I had a little money left on it, I think. I said, well, maybe I can, get the alcohol. He was like, or some. You do something. I'm already getting the drinks to go with it and the other stuff and the snacks and stuff. And I'm just like, okay. I think that he was just afraid of being used, or maybe his ex did him wrong. Because I remember him talking about his ex, you quote unquote using him or something. I don't know. I just hated feeling like this. So I'm like, I had a little money left on my little credit card. Not much. It was my last, I think. Damn near my last. So I'm like, okay, I'll get the alcohol. So drove to the liquor store after that and got a little bottle of E&J's. I never forget. It was cheaper. It was a cheaper brown liquor. So, he was telling me we would drink down in the Pepsi bottle and then pour the E&J over in it and mix it up like that. So we did that and we headed on downtown to our favorite that became our favorite spot. Because it was like a secluded part of downtown Memphis on the river that no one really knew about. And so we go there and sit. He said he liked it because no police really came back and forth there. Nobody really circled right there. It was not really busy. So he said, that's where we ended up going. Downtown, had our little drinks, and I was drinking on it, getting buzzed. So like, okay, I'm getting a little buzz. And I was like, I needed to get buzzed because this whole ex shit and how he was acting and treating me, it was just stressing me out. So I'm like, let me drink some more. So I'm just drinking, pouring in there. I got really drunk off that little stuff. So I'm in the car, just drunk, oh. And so I end up kind of like tearing up, like, you gotta leave your ex alone for real. And I remember tearing up, getting emotional about that because I was drunk. And he was like, baby, I promise. And then next I know, we hopped in the back seat and had sex downtown, basically, in public, in his back seat. I was down to do it anywhere because we didn't have really our own private space. We weren't going to no hotels, couldn't afford it and stuff. So, yeah, downtown, on the river, in the back seat. But it was not a lot of people around. But his window was a little tinted. We still put like the shirts in the window. And so I'm half drunk. I'm just in the back seat doing it. And I remember crying again. Just like, I really want you to leave your ex alone. And I want it to just be me and you. And he like, I promise, baby. And then all that stuff. And have sex in the back seat and all that again. And half drunk, just really hoping that he would, this was it with her. I was really hoping that this would be the last. It was always something with her. And I think my drunk thoughts, of course, just really came out. And so I'm just really, really hoping that, I'm crying and begging and pleading him that this would be it. Leave her alone. I'm hoping that he really cares and sees that this is bothering me. Please leave her the fuck alone. And so, yeah.